Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I'm on the winning team. I'm in a different league. I'm like a symphony. Buy you some Tiffany's. Ooh, look at me. Look at me.
Ooh, that was a game.
Look at me.
Was a game.
Look at me. I'm on the winning team. I'm in a different league.
And all praises to the Most High for this day. I want to congratulate a lot of people. First of all, I got to congratulate Franz Wagner. This guy has been unbelievable. And one thing I want to say before we get into this segment, I actually was able to bring in the Orlando Magic daily, one of my friends, one of my homeboys from the site. You know, I was actually able to get him to talk. Also, I have Duke DaGreat, you know, a local entrepreneur and artist in Tallahassee, Florida. We're going to talk Bronny James. We're going to talk about Lakers. We're going to talk about the Magic game where my Magic beat up on the Lakers. Ooh, that was a game. That was a game. And I was there to watch every bit of it. Also, we're going to talk some FAMU football. We're going to move on, you know, with the season after we got that big win on the against the Wildcats, you know, the little cats down there in, where are they, Daytona? I think they're in Daytona, something like that. But anyway, we're going to move forward with the show. Thank you guys for watching the Spencer R. Henderson Show. Coming up first to the show, I want to bring in one of my friends, Orlando Magic Daily, Philip Rossman-Reich, one of the best writers on the site, one of the guys that gave me my start with Orlando Magic Daily, and one of the guys I always give homage to, you know, when it comes to this sports. And one of the guys I always wanted to bring on the show. So now he's on the show. We're going to talk some good old Magic basketball. How you doing, man?
I am doing good, Spencer. Great to be here. Great to finally see you in person. I think we've met a few times, but great to be here. Happy to talk Magic basketball. It's a good time to be a Magic fan.
Yeah. I know. I remember maybe about 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago. I don't even know, man. I know we talked on your show. So I'm just glad I was able to, you know, bring you on, man, to talk some Magic basketball. So first, without further ado, Franz Wagner. Woo! Let me give this man I want to say standing ovation, but we're on the show, so I ain't going to stand. So I want to give him an applause, man, and I want to get your thoughts because you have been watching every game. You have been covering every game, you know, and I wanted to get your opinion on what you have seen with his growth. Before we even get into the games, what have you seen from his growth from when he came in as a rookie until what you're seeing now today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like he's taken a pretty gargantuan step over the last 2-3 weeks, it feels like, since Paolo Banchero's injury. But really, you know, a lot of us, when we looked at the draft process, when we talked about Franz Wagner, I always thought of him as sort of this jack of all trades, master of none. He just seemed like he was just going to fit in wherever you needed him, do whatever you needed him to do. But he was always felt like that, you know, all these draft isms that everyone says, high floor, low ceiling. What you were getting was what you were going to get. He wasn't going to become a superstar, wasn't become an all-star. He was just going to be a really solid player that would help you win. So, you know, when the Magic draft, I was A, surprised Golden State passed on him and picked Jonathan Kuminga ahead of him. But B, I was pleasantly surprised at how quickly he seemed to take to the NBA game. And we've seen over the course of his 3 seasons, this is his 4th season in the NBA, his game, him just get better at the things he was really good at and continue to expand and grow his game. And obviously he's had 30-point games, he's had 20-point games, but he's just continually gotten better and done what the Magic have needed him to do. And, you know, just listening to a lot of fans and watching him play, there's always this sense that everyone wanted him to do more, and it just didn't really feel like Franz wanted to do more, no matter how much people tried to push and prod him. For, you know, the last 2 years, he's had Paolo Banchero there to take a lot of that responsibility. But this season with Paolo injured, he's had to do more. The Magic had nowhere else to turn. They gave him the keys that said, you got to drive. And they pushed and prodded him to get to that next level. And now he is driving that car, and the Magic are speeding toward, you know, they're in the 3 seed right now in the East. It's too early to care about the standings, but they're speeding toward all their goals with Franz at the lead at the moment. Yeah,
and I'll go ahead and say it for the record. You know, I was one of those ones on the Franz Wagner. You know, I don't know if we can use this guy, you know, on the championship level. Obviously, I've been corrected this year. But I just want to kind of, you know, just talk about some of the things that we saw during that Laker game. Because during that Laker game, it almost seemed like he was the best player on the court. And that's saying a lot when we're talking about LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the court. This is a new development that we have not seen from Franz Wagner in the last, since he's been in the league, pretty much. So just specifically talking about that game, because I know you watched every minute of it, what did you see with his growth?
Yeah, I mean, it's this idea that you have to be the star. You know, a lot of us have joked for the longest time that, you know, Franz Wagner doesn't take mid-range jumpers. He doesn't shoot anything that isn't a three or a layup. And the analytics will tell you that's a good shot. But when you're a star player, sometimes that mid-range shot is the only shot you're going to get. And so we've seen over the last 2 weeks, especially, Franz take more of these mid-range jumpers. And so when you get to a game like that game against the Lakers, where both LeBron James and Anthony Davis played really well. They both had 30-plus points. LeBron nearly had a triple-double. It wasn't like Franz Wagner. You know, Franz Wagner looked like the star in a night where the other stars were stars too. Franz just had this sense of what the game needed. And it's something that I think has been the most exciting thing to watch is now that Franz has this responsibility to be the lead guy, to, you know, pick whatever shots he wants. You know, Franz Wagner essentially cannot take a bad shot at this point. Like he's, you know, his decisions are everything. He made the right decision time and time again. You know, everyone is going to talk about the game-winning three, which was a ballsy, gutsy, clutch decision. Ooh. They're going to talk about the 30-plus points that he had. They're not going to talk so much about the 11 assists, a career-high 11 assists. He got everyone involved. He got 4 steals. He did what the game needed, and that's what you have to do as a star player. And it seems like that's something that he's taken to a lot more naturally than I think a lot of us expected. Yeah,
I wrote an article, I don't know if you saw it, I was talking about him being in the same category in his first few years as people like LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Edwards, you know, guys that we look, you know, especially on the national level, we look at these guys at a different level compared to Franz Wagner. But he's on the couch, you know, he's in the house. You know, whatever we may imagine of a player that we want on the outside, he's in the house. Just speak about that just a second.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of it is the Magic are not a household team. You know, you talk about players of that ilk. You know, Franz Wagner was the first forward under 25 years old to have a 35-5 game or 35-10 game in assists since LeBron James. So, you know, he's doing things that haven't been done in a very, very long time. You know, he's the first Magic player with the stat line that he had against the Lakers since T-Mac. Like, it's been a long time since the Magic have had a player like this. And it feels like they have two because Paolo Banchero is sitting there on the sideline waiting to come back from his injury as well. The importance of that game against the Lakers, I hate to say it as a Magic person because I try not to believe in this, but it mattered that he did it against the Lakers. It mattered that he did it against LeBron. It mattered that he did it against Anthony Davis. It mattered that it was a 4-game night in the NBA. It mattered that it was the only NBA game and the only sports thing going on at 10:30 at night Eastern time in the country with the NFL game ending at around 11:15.
Yeah.
Everyone's eyes were on him when he did all that. And so now he's a little bit more of a household name. Now everyone is like, oh, this guy's an all-star. It isn't just, you know, kind of lead pass quiet. It's, oh, no, you have to recognize what he's doing. And obviously the Magic don't have a lot of national TV games. They don't have a lot of national exposure. The Magic have to kind of generate interest somehow. Doing gaudy stat lines is how you get yourself in those conversations. And, Franz has some work maybe to get into like the LeBron, Russell Westbrook, even to where Anthony Edwards is because he's done it year over year over year now. But no one's talking about Game 7 anymore with Franz Wagner. It's a big redemption story. It's a big part of his story. We're not, I don't think any of us can ignore that it happened, but nobody's talking about Game 7 anymore because very clearly he grew and learned from it.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, and it mattered that it was also a back-to-back. I mean, we lost to the Clippers the night before, and then he came back and played outstanding. But I do have to ask you this question. Will Franz Wagner play like this once Banchero returns? What is your opinion on that, and what do you think we're going to look like once we get him back in the fold?
Yeah, so a lot of what we're seeing from Franz Wagner is out of necessity. Like, he has to average 30 and 8, 30 points, 8 assists, because the Magic don't have that other player that can do it. So I suspect that when Paolo, he's also playing when games are close. Game wasn't close last night against Detroit or Saturday night against Detroit. Didn't play the fourth quarter, so he ended up doing, scoring 30 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists in 30 minutes, in 29 minutes. You want more of those games, so you don't have to wear him down. But obviously, when Paolo comes back, the shot volume might go down. He'll play fewer minutes. I think especially once Paolo gets himself going, they'll probably try and scale back Franz's minutes a little bit more, just to give him a break, just to make sure he doesn't wear down when the games matter in March and April. So there's going to be a little of an adjustment, but this isn't going to go away. What the Magic are seeing in Franz Wagner, that genie's been let out of the bottle. They know he can do these things now. And so now you can run these plays. You can run him in these sets. You can run him in these situations. You trust him to take control over games. And that's just going to make Paolo better as much as it's going to make Franz better too. Franz can play off of Paolo. He can be a spot up shooter. He can be a cutter. Franz isn't really doing any of that right now. So that scoring will come back to him when Paolo's back. But I think the bigger effect is when Paolo's back, now Paolo doesn't have to be the one constantly creating, constantly making things for others. He's going to get a spot up 3 or 2 because Franz is creating. He's going to be able to cut a little bit. They may run some pick and rolls and try and see if they can make defenses a little confused with the two of them together. The possibility, because Franz is doing this, he may not put up these numbers again when Paolo is healthy, but the possibilities of how the Magic can use this duo expand really exponentially once he's back. And that's the really exciting part because, I think we all understand Paolo's really good too. This is a team that's going to be better because of what they're seeing right now.
Right, and when I look at Paolo, a lot of people are telling me around Christmas is when he will return back into the fold. If that is the case, we're talking about a month from now only, before he gets back on the court. Right now, the Orlando Magic are 3rd in the Eastern Conference, which is very interesting compared to what we've been seeing for the last, well, not of course last year, but before last year. What is your optimism with this team this year? I mean, obviously they're number 3 this year. They're going to get Banchero back. What is your optimism? How far could they go in your estimation with this team, with Franz Wagner playing this way?
Yeah, I mean, with the way, honestly, when Paolo Banchero's injury happened, my thought process was all the Magic have to do is be around 500 when Paolo gets back. Just hold the boat steady, just stay in the race. The dream of getting home court advantage seemed like it was vanishing. It felt like, a lot of the season was crumbling because Paolo was just such a big part of what they're doing. Now it feels like all those goals that they had at the beginning of the season, and the main one was getting home court advantage in the first round, are very, very possible and still very, very real. That hasn't been let go. And because the Magic are playing so well, it feels like that's the expectation again. Like that part hasn't changed. It isn't just about surviving anymore. It's this team can win. And getting these wins and feeling this confidence is a big part of the story. Obviously Paolo will come back and he's going to play about half the season now. There'll be about half the season remaining when he comes back, and Christmas, a little bit more than half the season remaining. So there's still a long, long way to go. And I think all of us also understand December is going to be really tough for the Magic. They're in the middle of a very heavy road stretch right now. They head to Charlotte Monday. They're home versus Chicago on Wednesday. And then they take a 5-game road trip to New York and Philadelphia, Brooklyn twice, the Knicks, and then 2 games against the Sixers. That doesn't look as daunting perhaps as it might have in August because of where the Sixers are at, but that's still going to be a very tough road trip. Then they get depending on what happens in the NBA Cup, they'll get a tough matchup in the NBA Cup. They'll get a pretty long homestand coming up in December, but that's going to be filled with a lot of really good teams. So the Magic still have a lot to prove to themselves and a lot to prove to the league, but they have shown us with their defense, especially, they are very capable of not only competing in these games, but winning them. And that's really the confidence that Franz's leap has given this team. And so all their goals from the start of the season are still very much in front of them. The Paolo injury did not derail them, and it very much feels like they'll be better when Paolo returns.
Yeah, and I know, speaking to the defense, best defense in the league, I don't want to jump too far, you know what I mean? But, just the turnaround, they're locking people down. They're scrappy. It seemed like they're even more scrappy than they were last year. which is an interesting development because those are easy points on the other side. You know, we talk about how people can't create shots maybe, but if you're getting easy buckets on with steals and stuff, I mean, those add up as well. So just talk about the defense as far as how good we can be this year, and if we have any defensive player of the year candidates on the team.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Magic are currently third, I think, in the league in defensive rating, and that's because they had, a bad game against the Lakers. Essentially, was a bad game against the Lakers and the Clippers on the road, so they fall into third. Woo! I'm actually looking up these numbers right now. The Magic, the Goga Bitadze has the worst on-court defensive rating on the team at 108 points per 100 possessions allowed. Right. 108 is a really good defensive rating. Good, that's really good. Like to get up only that few points is really good. So that should give you some sense of how good this defense has been. And look, it's the way I would describe it is this defense works because it's been 3 years of commitment to this defense. It's been 3 years of commitment to what Jamal Mosley's been preaching and teaching, and how this team has grown together over the course of 3, entering now their 4th season with Jamal at the helm. He has made defense this identity. The team has bought in completely to everything. Even guys who are not considered good defenders have become really good defenders under this defense. They're all committed to it. They all understand that it takes full effort on that end, and that everything they do is sprouts from that end. And so it's been really impressive to watch this team grow defensively. And obviously it feels like this year they've taken another step up. I think a lot of that has to do with Jalen Suggs playing with a lot more confidence. I think a lot of that has to do with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope entering the team. Even though he's not shooting the ball particularly well, he has been amazing on defense. His deflections, his steals, just his disruption have been really good. His ability to put extra pressure on the perimeter. And, Anthony Black getting more minutes off the bench, he's really embraced the defense too. And so this Magic team really feels like they've been able to ramp things up. When they miss shots, that to them, that means we have to defend harder. And so you kind of want them to make shots because they may not defend as hard if they're making shots because they can lean back on that. This team is like the opposite of most young teams. They feed off their defense, and when their defense is playing well, they play well.
And with that being said, my last question to you, man, is, why isn't the national media paying attention to what's going on? I mean, you just talked so much about Franz Wagner, in statistical categories of all of these historical players. We already know Banchero, same statistical category of all of these great players like LeBron and Oscar Robertson, but for some reason, the national media has not taken a hold of the Magic. Even so, I was reading, I forgot what the dude that wrote the article, but he was saying that, listen, it was almost a blessing that, Banchero got injured, because now the national media has an excuse of not covering the Magic. You know what I mean? Because if he's there on his 3rd year and he just had a 50 burger and all of this, why aren't we covering the ascension of maybe one of the greatest players ever, and maybe a potential championship in the making in the near future? Why, in your opinion, isn't the national media covering it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, look, some of it is market size. Orlando is not a small market, but compared to the rest of the NBA, it is one of the smaller markets in the league. It is just not a place that people have ties to. Honestly, like it has become less of a problem inside the Kia Center, but Orlando still is very much a transplant market. You have a lot of people who are fans of other teams who move to Orlando. You don't have a lot of like 2nd and 3rd generation Magic fans quite yet. So I think that's part of it. The other part of it is Paolo Banchero is a nice player, but he was not considered this runaway prospect that everyone had to see. It probably says something. It says something, but it doesn't say anything, that his draft was contested. Like there were 3 players the Magic were picking from in that draft that people were debating for the whole draft process. That tells you there wasn't this runaway prospect. Right. Chet Holmgren was certainly unique, but everyone kind of viewed Chet Holmgren as like Victor Wembanyama light. In fact, like everyone was already looking to Victor the next year. So it becomes a little bit of marketability, but I think there's just bigger global issues at play here too, where the NBA, because TV rate, because the TV industry, the media industry is what it is right now, TV ratings are down. They're down across the board. It's not an NBA problem. It's an everyone problem. Really, the NFL is the only one that's immune because they're just the Goliath. TV ratings for sports on cable are just down everywhere. And so I think the NBA and their TV partners tend to lean on what they know, is going to draw people in. LeBron James, Steph Curry, they draw people in. The Knicks, the Lakers, the kind of bigger markets, they draw people in. The Celtics, the Celtics are a good team. I'm not going to be upset about them being on TV a lot. Giannis, like guys who are established that are known commodities can draw people in. The NBA definitely has a very big problem, especially as the kind of the Olympic generation, that the 2024 Olympic team starts to retire. LeBron's nearing the end of his career. Steph Curry's nearing the end of his career. Kevin Durant's nearing the end of his career. These guys are starting to pass the baton, and the NBA is more talented than it's ever been. But the NBA has struggled to make new stars. They're trying now with Anthony Edwards. They're trying, they got Luka Doncic. Luka's a known commodity at this point. Nikola Jokic, I don't even think they still think Nikola Jokic can sell. I don't think they think he's a marketer, and some of that's it. He doesn't want to market anything. He wants to just play basketball and go play with the sources. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the league has an issue of marketing and making new stars. And, Jason Tatum, isn't kind of prone to stardom. He isn't, he's very chill. He just wants to play basketball, not really do much else. The NBA's got to find a way to make new stars and make new players that people want to see. And I think some of that's on the NBA being proactive. I don't think they've been proactive enough about saying, hey, basketball audience, you should watch Paolo Banchero. He's awesome. Hey, basketball audience, you should watch this young player, this young team. They're awesome. You should go watch Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander even gets the attention that he deserves.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There's just a lot of really good young players in this league right now. And the league is very slowly shifting toward something centered on them. It feels like they're making a lot of the same mistakes they made when Michael Jordan retired, when they didn't have kind of ready-made stars to replace him, or guys that were, like building up to be on his level. And even back then when TV audiences were much larger, the floor dropped out. Well, we're at a different age. Everybody can watch everybody with League Pass. Everybody can watch everybody with the highlights that are put on Twitter and social media. The NBA should be better about making more stars. And I think they are missing the boat and missing the wagon on not pushing Paolo Banchero a little bit, especially after the way he played in the playoffs. Like the Magic aren't some unproven commodity. They proved themselves last year. They deserved a little bit more recognition, a little bit more attention. And, the NBA, I think, has got to do a better job capitalizing on that. But, I don't have the analytics that they have, so maybe they know something I don't. Maybe I care more about the health of the sport than how big the TV audience is. Maybe I don't know anything about TV, but I think that definitely has a part to do with it as well.
Well, you're absolutely right. And also what has a big part of it is dropping a 50 burger. Because if you remember, when he dropped that 50 burger, I mean, he was on every it was on the cycle then, you know what I mean?
They pushed him in the cycle. But I mean, the biggest, honestly, like Franz Wagner could have done what he did against any other team and it wouldn't have caused a ripple.
Right.
The fact that it was against the Lakers meant something. Again, everyone was watching it. Everyone in the basketball world was watching it. There are significantly more national media writers that live in Los Angeles that go to games like that. They showed up to those games. They spoke to Franz Wagner. They talked about the Magic. That was a big attention-seeking win, and hopefully soon the Magic get some attention for it.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And once again, I just want to thank you for your time. That was beautiful, man. And we're gonna see each other, in the near future, man. I'll be in Orlando for the rematch with LA. So I'll see you then, man. But until I see you then, man, really thank you for joining the show, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on.
For sure. And moving on with the show, I just want to let you guys know, listen, we have been doing big things here with the show. Now we're going to bring in one of my big stars, from Tallahassee. And before I do that, just want to talk a little bit about what he said, about Franz Wagner, because for a long time, I was one of those guys that, was on Franz Wagner, man. So, what I want to say, because I know you're going to watch this, is listen, man, keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing. And also always remember to have confidence, man, when you come on that flow. Because, listen, all we need is you to play like you playing, and we on to a title. Now, moving on, we're going to talk a little LA basketball, and we're going to talk a little Magic basketball, because the Magic did play against LA. and one of the super fans are on TV now. You know, one of my closest homeboys and Duke DaGreat. Man, welcome to the show, man. What's going on, man?
What's good with you? Good to be here.
Yeah, man. So we wanted to talk a little Magic basketball. You know, I know I called you right after the game. I said, man, listen, you ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing, boy. If LeBron and AD lose to Franz Wagner by itself, and lo and behold, they lost to Franz Wagner by itself. So I just want to get your thoughts on the game, and you know what I'm saying, going forward, you know, about your Lakers.
I mean, it was a good game. You know, the Magic came up. Franz Wagner showed that, you know what I'm saying, given a moment, you know what I'm saying, he can stand his own, hold his own in the paint.
Yeah, it's crazy because, you know, I was just talking to, you know, one of my colleagues from the Atlanta Magic Daily, and he was saying Franz Wagner, he did it against L.A., and it meant something. You know, for instance, if he would have did it against the Pistons last night, you know, and nobody probably wouldn't have talked about it. You know, if he would have did it against, you know, the Charlotte Hornets or somebody, you know, nobody would have really talked about it. But the fact that it was on L.A., you know, with LeBron on the court and AD on the court, made it a little bit magical. You know what I'm saying? No pun intended. You know what I mean? But, you know, talk about that.
I mean, as a fan, it kind of meant something. You know, if you a fan of a team and y'all trying to build up for the season, get ready for the playoffs, but when you like a juggernaut team, you know, the regular season, it don't hold as much weight. You know what I'm saying? It's more we like the Lakers. We kind of using the regular season to kind of fine tune everything. You know, we got a new coach. We try and get everybody acclimated, get everything, you know, all the kinks worked out. You know, the real season start, you know what I'm saying, when the playoffs start.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, we're not about to argue that. I mean, but one thing I will say is they wanted that game because they played, if you look at the minutes, how many minutes they played, normally you pull your starters when you know, you kind of give up, but them boys were still in the game trying to win until Franz Wagner, you know, hit that step back on him, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you know, I think that the games will matter, you know, in the end, you know what I mean? Like you saying, they're gonna matter, you know, as far as the playoffs. But if you think about it, these games in the early season do matter because you can't have it both ways. You can't say 2 years ago that, you know, if we would have did better in the beginning of the season, we would have had a higher seed when you was fighting for a play-in seed, you know what I'm saying? And then this year when you're doing well and then you lose a game like that, a game that really you should have won because any game that Banchero not playing, AD and LeBron should be able to win a game like that. That's not a good game for you to lose, you know, even if it's early in the season or late in the season, you know what I mean? Like regardless, like if my team playing somebody like, you know, I don't know, the Utah Jazz or whoever, and their best player not playing, I'm expecting us to win, man. And not only am I expecting us to win, if we're a championship caliber team, I'm expecting us to win a certain kind of way, regardless if it's October, November, December, January, February, or March. I'm expecting a certain type of team to come out and deliver. But again, you know, that's just me. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, you know, these games don't matter, you know, but if they don't matter, I want to know why Bronny James not playing. You know what I'm saying? Why is Bronny James not playing in meaningless games if these games don't matter? I just want to hear your response to that.
Well, I ain't saying that these games don't matter. Well, like I said, we got a whole new coaching staff, you know what I'm saying? And watching that game, we started out, I could see we were running plays like we weren't really doing that last year. And it was parts inside of, that's what I mean by the season not really as mattering as much to teams that are, you know, pretty much in a championship or bust type situation. Well, we was showing like in parts of the game we start reverting back to them old losing ways that we was taking on last year. We just kind of getting into ISO ball and, you know, trying to pretty much hero ball instead of going with what JJ has been, you know, implementing this season. And that's really where the Lakers kind of fell short at.
So
yeah, and that's why I say that we're using this year to work out all the kinks. And as far as Bronny, I think that JJ is just trying to fine tune Bronny and keep him out of the spotlight to give him that time too. You know what I'm saying? Grow and be molded to the type player they want him to be.
No, I get that, and I understand why, you know, Bronny, you know, didn't play against the Magic. I was just, you know, being sarcastic. I mean, obviously, in the team. I mean, in the game, you know, it's kind of nip and tuck. You definitely don't want to bring Bronny in a situation like that. You know, I don't think so. I think you want to kind of, you know, ease him into the fold, man. So I understand why he didn't play against the Magic, but just going forward, what's your opinion on, you know, him playing as far as his minutes going forward? You know, early in the season, not necessarily, you know, around playoff time, but like, you know, especially like, you know, during them games, like they gonna want to see him Christmas Day, man. I know y'all gonna have a Christmas Day game. Come on, man. Like, y'all can't get a man, you know what I mean? Like, and then don't play him on Christmas Day with his daddy, bro. Come on, bro. Like, what are we doing? Are we gonna give him minutes in the near future? What's your outlook on how J.J. Redick has handled Bronny's minutes?
Well, I look at J.J. Redick pretty much turning Bronny into one of his like first development projects. You know what I'm saying? Where he don't want to throw him out there and mess up his mental state as far as the game. So I think he just gonna ease Bronny in there, here and there. You know what I'm saying? And some of those blowout wins, blowout losses, kind of like that right there, and kind of like slowly get him acclimated. I'm looking. He looks like a 2-year project or something with Bronny.
All right. So just moving forward, just talk to me, you know what I'm saying, about what you think, you know, the Magic, you know, are going to be able to do after seeing this game against the Lakers, because I know you think the Lakers are a championship contending team with Anthony Davis and LeBron James on the court. Just going forward, you know, what do you think the ceiling is for this Magic team going forward after watching that game?
I mean, looking at them without Banchero, knowing what Banchero can do, I mean, they I can see them, if the chips fall right, making it to second round of the playoffs, potentially, you know what I'm saying, Mace facing Celtics in the conference finals, depending on, you know, how the rest of the season go. Because a lot of the big name teams in the East really not really performing to where we would think they would be at this point. So just, you know, just depending on how it all play out, who they get seeded against, but I don't see them getting to the finals this year, because I honestly don't feel like no one in the East is gonna beat the Celtics, just because of the defense, the defensive weapons that the Celtics have, and how deep they are defensively.
No, I get that. The Celtics, you know, obviously, you know what I mean, on the outside looking in, you know what I mean, we would all agree that the Celtics, you know, are the team to beat, you know, without us actually, you know, watching the games and going through the season. You know what I mean? Like my preseason pick was the Celtics to represent the East. But after we start watching these games, after we start determining what we are seeing, you know what I mean, you know, because we saw Banchero drop a 50 burger. You know, we saw that. We saw Franz Wagner average 30 points, you know, for like 4 to 5 games. Those are the type of things that we didn't, well, at least I didn't come into, you know, the season thinking that was going to happen before the first 20 games of the season. So obviously what I'm watching, I'm thinking differently about what I'm seeing. But just with that being said, because obviously nobody didn't really think they was going to be doing that this year. It's like a growth spurt that we didn't expect. So with that being said, with the Celtics, I think that the Celtics are probably still a better team, you know what I mean? Because, you know, when you think about the chemistry that they have, it's the chemistry that I'm wanting from Paulo and Franz Wagner, you know what I mean? Like, they've already been through the fire. They've already been through playoff scenarios out of the first round in those scenarios together. So, you know, what I'm looking for from those guys, you know, I mean, I haven't seen yet. But I just look at those guys on a different level, you know what I mean? Like, as far as Paulo Banchero. So, barring injury, we're saying that Boston, you're saying that Boston will represent the East as far as what you're seeing so far Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think as far as the West, as far as the East, I think Boston done went through all them trial and errors. They done had all the hurt that you can have. And they finally, you know what I'm saying, crossed over that mountaintop last year, winning it all. I just feel like right now it's their time right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and with that being said, you know, because you said if it's their time right now, that means they're going back to the finals. Do you have them repeating? Do you have them winning back-to-back titles? Because if we're saying that it's their time right now and that they're going back to the finals, I mean, are you making a prediction that they will win the finals?
Oh, definitely not making that prediction. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, you know, I feel like they gonna make the finals, but I feel like that old, you know what I'm saying, hurt that LeBron used to give to him back when he was in the East, he gonna, you know what I'm saying, give him to on the biggest stage this time, this go round.
Okay, so
I got the Lakers winning it all. Lakers, Boston.
Yeah.
Lakers in 6.
Lakers in 6. Okay.
Lakers in 6.
Well, listen, man, we got you on the record. You know, Lakers in 6, Lakers in Boston. You know, that's the finals prediction, you know, for this year. But at the end of the day, you know, just going forward, man, you know, in all seriousness, you know, because I think that it's an opportunity for Bronny to really start getting minutes, you know, with Max Christie playing the way he has been playing. I just want to get your thoughts on that before we move to the next subject, because, you know, for some reason I kind of feel like people are trying to find minutes for this guy. Like there's nobody like on the bench that he could sub in for, when there's actually a couple people he could sub in for. But just talk about that going forward. And what's your thoughts about what I just said about him replacing Max Christie's minutes?
Well, I feel like they're trying to get off to a good start and get a build on the wins that we have. So once we get like a little distance between us and the teams up under, you know, around that All-Star break, after the All-Star break, where players are kind of tired and you just trying to, you know, make it through the night, that's where Bronny gonna really come in. He'll be done had a couple months to kind of practice with the team and understand JJ's philosophy and what he want to do, and then he could kind of slide him in there a little easier once we done, you know what I'm saying, kind of position ourselves where we want to be at in the Western Conference, and then he could kind of more so start more putting Bronny in different spots to get him ready and riled up for this playoff run we're going to make.
See, what happened, he should have came to Orlando, man. They should have let him go to Orlando, get drafted to Orlando, and then that way he would have been playing more minutes, you know, on a championship level team, you know what I'm saying? So he would have been playing like the starting point guard. We would have took Caldwell Pope out the starting lineup, let him come off the bench, you know what I'm saying, and then, you know, put him in the game. You know what I'm saying? You know, he should have got drafted to Orlando. But you know, that's another story for another day. You know, that's not what happened. You know, we didn't select Bronny James. We actually got somebody better, you know, with Tristan DeSilva from Colorado. He's the guy that's been substituting for Paulo Banchero in his absence, you know, after he was injured with the torn oblique. So I'm really proud of what Tristan DeSilva has been doing. You know, shout out to Tristan, you know, in Orlando, number 23. Y'all check him out. He's a rookie that's starting, getting really good minutes. But we're going to move on from Orlando and talk some football. Well, speaking of sports in Orlando, we're going to move on and talk about the Florida Classic matchup between BCU and my FAMU Rattlers. Yes, sir. Now, I ain't going to lie. Now, the Rattler winning streak was snapped by Mississippi Valley State, and that had me down. It really had me, you know, it had me messed up. But then they go to Orlando and get a much-needed win. The press conference directly after the loss, head coach James Cozer III promised to make changes and ultimately fired offensive coordinator Joseph Henry. Then promoted quarterback coach Henry Burris to take over the play-calling duties. And now I bring in, you know, my man back in, Duke DaGreat. We're going to talk some FAMU football real quick. You know what I'm saying? Just moving on, you know, with the show. because this was a bold move by Coach Cozy to get rid of his offensive coordinator and then, go to Henry Burris, who has, done very well as a player and is doing very well with quarterback Daniel Richardson, the transfer quarterback that came to FAMU at the beginning of the year. He has made a mark with this guy. So just going forward, Duke, what's your opinion on how the Rattlers played this year off of a year where they won the championship?
Well, I think the Rattlers did pretty good. With a major coaching change, like trying to replace Willie Simmons, and all that he done. I think Coach did a good job of kind of keeping the team kind of where it was at, and not just dropping off like FAMU used to do in the past. And I like the way he kind of felt like he was having problems with on the coaching staff. He wasn't getting the production he wanted, and he's immediately trying to rectify the problem to keep the program going in the right direction. So I really like what Cozy's been able to do this year.
Yeah, I can agree, man. I'm Coach Cozy is a really good friend of mine, and I do feel like he's moving the FAMU forward in the right direction, considering all of the changes that happened, last minute changes, might I add, that happened to rectify the year after we won the HBCU championship against the Howard Bison. But where do you see FAMU moving forward? Do you think next year, we get 10 wins next year in 2025? Do you think that we win a SWAC championship in 2025? What do you think, what's our ceiling for next year going forward?
Well, I think all that's in play, because I think a lot of recruits kind of looking to see, how the program would be ran with the departure of Willie Simmons. And I think that James Cozy done did enough to make recruits top recruits still want to come to this program. So I feel like they will be back in position next year.
Yeah, I mean, and then not just that, but James Cozy is going to start getting his recruits in. You know what I mean? Like this is the first year that he's going to actually have a year of recruiting, because last year, like I said, they didn't hire him till like a week before the recruiting session. You know what I mean? And that's way last minute. You know what I mean? But now he has a whole season to get through it, through a year, coach for a year, see what type of adjustment he need to make, because he knows he's going to be the coach next year compared to last year. He didn't know he was going to be the head coach. So he didn't know, none of the stuff that he had to get prepared before he even went into a season like this. But just to further that point, I think that Cozy actually did better than what, he was supposed to do. I mean, because obviously the game against Mississippi Valley State was a terrible loss. I think we all can agree with that. Me and Coach Cozy can agree with that. But I think as far as going forward, and what we've seen this year and the confidence that the players had in him going forward, I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't have a national championship in the future with his players, his defensive players coming in that he can recruit. If you remember, he was this close from getting that running back from Florida State last year. He was already in the fold, but after Willie Simmons left, he kind of was waffling on if he wanted to come back or not. But that's how close he is to getting top players. So I think that with this year and with all of the changes, especially with the offensive coordinator leaving, it gives people a lot more optimism as far as what type of offense we're going to be having next year and what type of players we can get from the portal. But we scored over 50 points. We put up a 50-burger, at homecoming. What do you think the offense has to look like for us to have those type of performances more consistently?
I think he's doing a good job with the offense. I just think that we need a couple of key players on defense to kind of like get more 3 and out. We need more 3 and out. You know what I'm saying? We on defense to keep to give our offense a chance to fully get in the playbook, because you in the course of a game it could be like one more like teams be needing that extra little from the defense, but because sometimes offenses start a little slower.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like he did need a couple more key defenders, more like on that front end, like rushers. Help us get more 3 and outs to get the offense more chance to be on the field to be able to put up more points.
No, I can agree with that. I never really thought about it to that degree because, I'm always thinking offense, just how I'm programmed. But now that I think about it, if the defense was able to get some more 3 and outs, you know what I mean, and the offense was able to get some more opportunities, I don't believe that the offense was, anemic, where they couldn't score if they were able to get those extra opportunities. I actually think they probably would have scored, a lot more if they was able to, get more 3 and out. So I can't really disagree with you on that. And I think that, going forward, that's a really good observation, that we'll see what type of defenders that he gets in this year when they do their recruiting session, what type of players that he gets in, because I'm excited to see what type of players come in the portal and what type of recruits we get, because that's how we was able to form, these teams in the last couple of years. So with that being said, man, definitely want to thank my man Duke DaGreat for coming into the show. And thank you for your analysis, man, on Bronny, in the LA basketball. And, next time when the Magic play LA, hey, you got to be in attendance, man, you know what I'm saying, so we can really chop it up, and really have some fun, really, really live out here, man, because it's gonna be special, man. It's gonna be special. I feel like, this is a game that, this gonna be the game that Banchero has been waiting for. When he got his confidence, his team looked better. Now he can actually go up to LeBron, and actually not, be as timid and actually, try to take him out. So we'll see. That game will be March 24th in Orlando, and definitely looking forward to that game, man. But again, man, we'll link up soon. Thank you for your time, and appreciate your time, man.
All right, thanks for having me.
For sure. And as we move on to the show, man, just want to kind of, let you guys know what's been on my mind. It's a lot of things that's been on my mind, but we're gonna address one of the things that's been on my mind more than anything. And what's been on my mind more than anything is why people seek approval. I think that we kind of built to seek approval. I think that, one of the things that we do as human beings is we always want somebody to like us. We always want somebody to like what we're doing. We always want people to approve of what we have going on. But, to my family, to my students, to my fans, I don't know who need to hear this, but stop looking for everyone's approval to follow your dreams. Stop it. Stop looking for someone to say, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, go do that. Yeah, I think that you'll be successful if you do that. No, stop looking for that. Stop looking for your approvals, man. Look for the things that's going to make you happy. Look for the things that's going to make you feel successful. Stop looking at what other people think is success, because what other people think is success is not success if they're not successful. So always remember, you don't have to have someone's approval just to follow your dreams. All you have to do is put your 2 feet down and continue to walk towards your dreams. I know a lot of people needed to hear this, because I got a lot of students at FAMU, got a lot of friends, entrepreneurs. I got a lot of people in the world that looks for people's approval. Not even mine. Don't even look for my approval. I don't care what I done achieved in life, man. Don't even look for my approval. If I don't agree with something, but you want to do it, go and do it. Because the only way you're going to get somewhere in life is if you continue to follow your dreams, man, and continue to go forward. So, again, stop looking for people to think your idea is great. Whether it's your friends, colleagues, your teammates, they will jump on the bandwagon when the time comes. Trust me, I'm living it now. Just keep grinding and these things will come. The acceptance, the appreciation, the apologies, the gratitude, everything will come. You just have to be patient, and you have to wait, and you have to grind. You can't have one without the other. This thing is not a sprint. It's a marathon. You got to start from the beginning and go through the whole race. You can't quit in the end. I mean, in the middle of the race. You got to continue to go. You're looking for gratitude. That'll be there too. People will start appreciating who you are and appreciating what you bring to the world when the time comes. But in the meantime, appreciate what you bring to the world. Appreciate yourself. Appreciate the people that's in your corner that's trying to push you to be greater. Appreciate the words that's coming out my mouth. Appreciate everybody that's in your corner and the people that's in your way. Because if them people weren't in your way, you wouldn't know how to push yourself out of that situation. So appreciate the adversity as well. Everything will come when he wants it to come. You will prosper and you will achieve all the things you imagine and more. If you live like this and you believe this to your core, you'll be successful. I had to believe it to achieve the things that you see today. It did not happen overnight. And no one, I say no one, gave me a handout. Never had a daddy, all right? Never gave me a dime, never gave me a meal, never gave me a penny. He's a preacher and never gave me a sermon. So you already are doing better than me. If you was blessed to have a father and have people in your life that love you, man, you already blessed. Keep using those blessings in order to get where you're trying to go. You cannot use those blessings as something that's going to hold you back. You got to look at it as a positive, not a negative. So stop making excuses. Go live your life. Go live your dreams. Leave that mess behind you and go get your bag. Shoot for the moon and apologize when you are driving in your G-Wagon headed to your mansion in the city of your choice. I'm Spencer Henderson, and it's been real. And always follow me on Facebook and Instagram for more updates. Have a great night, and I'll see you next time on my show.
Ooh, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I'm on the winning team. I'm in a different league. I'm like a symphony. Buy you some Tiffany's. Ooh, look at me. Look at me. Look at me.